I've been making time lapses the hard way for years, dealing with hundreds of images, slow exporting times, and then just way too much time in front of the computer editing the actual time lapse. Then I found out that QuickTime can do the last part of this process with just a few clicks and is totally free. I genuinely don't know why more people aren't talking about this hack, and honestly, it's got me back to a point where I want to make more time lapses. I shoot on Sony cameras, and the built-in time-lapse function is okay, but it's not great. Sony caps you at 1 second shutter speeds, which doesn't work for astrophotography. And if you do want to shoot an in-camera time-lapse, you lose the option to have full resolution stills for printing at a later date. So the only option that I have is to shoot hundreds of individual images, which doesn't sound so bad until you're staring at 600 to sometimes over 1,000 photos. And then I have to edit them into a time lapse. It's that subtle friction thing again. But seriously, it shapes what I'm willing to create. And last week, I almost didn't shoot any of these Milky Way time lapses just because I didn't want to deal with editing them afterwards, which is absolutely ridiculous because I do love capturing these images and I love being creative. So I went looking for a better way to edit time lapses, and I found something I didn't even realize QuickTime could do thanks to Dylan Johns. You should check his YouTube channel out up here. Okay, let me show you how it works. Now, you know I wouldn't use the same time lapse as last week. So this morning I got up, shot the sunrise here, and I'm really excited to see how that nighttime to daytime transition or time lapse turned out here in just a moment. But before we head inside, two things. If you're enjoying this type of content, leave a like or a comment down below. That really helps grow this channel. And the second is on a bit of a tangent. If you have a creative project or a narrative project that you want to bring to life, I would love to collaborate with you. Just head over to CaseyBryantJones.com, drop me a line, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you. Now, let's go back inside. Okay, we're back in the office, and I've gone ahead and edited and exported all of the photos from this morning. The next step is going to blow your mind. So let's go ahead and open up QuickTime. So we'll type in QuickTime. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to hit File. We're going to hit Open Image Sequence. And we're going to select all the images here, and we're going to hit Choose Media. From here, we have a couple of options, and I'm going to select actual size. That way I can take advantage of the 50 megapixel files that I have. I'm going to select frame for 24 frames per second because this will be on YouTube. And the last thing that I'm going to do is have ProRes because I'm going to, as the option for encoding. And the reason for this is so I have the most latitude possible while I'm editing these the time lapse in Final Cut here in just a moment. So we'll hit expand, and we're going to hit open, and it's going to take a little bit of time, so just bear with me, but we'll let it do its thing. We'll fast forward, and then I'll see you in just a few minutes. We're almost there, and we have a time lapse. It's that easy, which is pretty crazy. We're going to hit play, or excuse me, space bar to play the time lapse back and just see how it rendered out. And it looks really great so far. These are just with the basic photo changes that I've made. And as you can see, when the sun comes up over the horizon, the aperture priority mode that I used got fooled by the sun and started exposing for the sun and not the ambient scene. So we've got a pretty usable section of about, we'll call it 13 seconds. That looks really good. So we're going to use those 13 seconds, but we'll hit close. And we're going to save this as time-lapse final for my purposes. And we're going to go into the QuickTime tutorial folder. From here, it's going to take just a second to save it. And once we've saved it, we're going to open up Final Cut Pro. I've gone ahead and made a project in Final Cut, and we'll drop it into that here in just a moment. So we'll let the library open up. Once it has, we're going to import our media, and we're going to import our final time lapse. There we go. We'll click on that, pull it down into the timeline, and again, probably 13 or so seconds. Looks pretty good. From here, we can see that there are some kind of black areas or voids on our frame. So we captured these images in a 4:3 aspect ratio, and we're exporting it into 16:9. So we'll go down to spatial conform, and we're going to click on that and hit fill. That now just kind of gets everything dialed in. From here, I'm going to add a slight bit of rotation to try to just make everything look nice and level. I think 1 looks pretty good. And my next step is just going to be to add a final look. So keeping it pretty simple, I'm going to use Dehancer. And we'll open that up. And we're going to use Rec 709 because it's already got a color transform. And we're going to use Kodak Vision 3 50D. So 50 would be the ISO and D being daylight. From here, I'm going to go down to print. And I'm going to go color density 100 to really make those colors look super punchy. I'm going to turn off film grain. And I'm going to turn on bloom as if it were from a medium format camera. So that way you get that kind of like filmic highlight roll off. From here, I can see on my waveform that I need to bring my exposure down slightly. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go into the area right as it gets super bright and find out where we are. Just kind of pull the exposure level down. And then what we'll do is we'll increase the exposure of the print, which works a little bit like the brightness slider in your photo editor. From here, we'll go into Film Developer. We're going to enable it, add a color boost of about 40 to, again, get those colors nice and punchy. We'll go to Film Compression to get that roll off again in the highlights, just to make it smoother looking. From here, we're going to add a higher white point number. So that's going to just kind of increase our contrast or overall contrast of the image. And as we get into the daytime, it's still looking a little blue to me. So I'll add a little bit of warmth to the temperature compensation just so it gets it warmed up a little bit, really sells that morning sun. And I want to also add a little bit of a magenta hue to everything so those purples really pop. And that's starting to look really good to me. Now, again, the benefit of saving it as a full resolution file really comes down to how far we can zoom in on these files. So let's go ahead and go to 240%. And we still have a lot of detail there, which is pretty rad. But for me, when I add zooms, I have the ability to do that with keyframes, or one of the easier ways for me to do this is actually to go into my titles, and I'm going to type in constant zoom. There's a really great plugin from Motion VFX called Constant Zoom, and what I'm going to do is select the right at the edge of the horizon, go here into the zoom strength, add 30%, and then we'll add movement smoothness just so it looks like a really nice smooth movement the whole way through. We go through this frame and we just watch this back in real time. It's pretty amazing how easy and how simple this process has been. You know, it still takes time, but it is so much more simplistic than what I used to do. There's definitely more that you can do here, but it's simple enough that I'll actually do it more often, which is why this is actually an important hack to me and why I wanted to share it with you. If this helped you, let me know down in the comments down below. I'm curious to know how you've been building your time lapses and if this is a new hack for you. All right, I'll see you in the next one.